RNG can be a cruel, cruel mistress. From decimal percentage drop rates on rare equipment to randomized substat rolling, the results of this mechanic's outcomes can have players dancing for joy or quitting the game entirely. My name is Saint Tontus, and today I'll be covering echoes, specifically the progression of echoes across all of your characters with a focus on clearing endgame content. The systems present in Wuthering Waves can bottleneck a player's echo progression, specifically through the tuner mechanic. This is only the case if you're a perfectionist. Every player wants to build their teams as strong as possible. This means gold echoes in every slot with a perfect main stat and substat allocation. Striving for perfection this early on is a mistake that many players are making. A player's endgame journey doesn't actually start at Union level 30, where gold echoes can drop from overworld mobs with a databank level of 15. Their endgame journey actually starts at Union level 20, when purple echoes are unlocked. These purple echoes are an excellent stopgap to gear your teams for endgame content like the Tower of Adversity Hazard Zone. If you check your inventory in-game, you likely have a nauseating number of these. We have these for a reason. We don't have enough gold tuners. With a main stat that's only a certain percentage worse than gold echoes, and 4 possible substats, this is serviceable gear, specifically for your sub-DPS and support characters on those endgame teams. You'll need 3 of them. Some players are concerned with potential wasted resources replacing purple echoes with gold echoes later in the game. This is not a huge issue due to the 80% or so experience return on recycling echoes. Tuners have a 30% refund rate, but losing purple tuners isn't a problem if you're at the stage to upgrade your healer or sub-DPS to gold gear. You also get Echo XP from several activities that consume wave plates, including boss ascension materials. You also have quests and other lootables in the overworld. You'll build up this experience from more than just that 60 cost tacit field. I actually don't recommend farming the tacit fields until level 40. You'll be spending a huge amount of wave plates simply on character progression alone, with the massive amount of resources required to ascend character levels and upgrade skills. Perfection should find your main DPS characters first. For many players, this will be a combination of characters like Calcharo, Xian, and the Havoc Rover. You have to commit to characters and builds like these. There's very few gold tuners to go around, and halfway investing into their builds and giving up can result in a lot of sunk costs. So choose somebody that you're looking forward to playing and maining. As you gear these DPS characters, prioritize mobs that can drop multiple elements that match these 3 DPS characters. Using the previously mentioned DPS roster, you can go ahead and farm monsters like the Arrow Predator, Young Roshroom, the Fusion Warrior, or the Chirpuff. By doing that, you can gear 2 characters in one farming run, which is a great strategy for those who don't have all day to grind in the overworld. There are always a ton of these 1-cost echoes scattered across the map, but these have up to 3 different elements that can drop. Minimizing your chances of an off-element echo will get you the most useful pieces possible as fast as possible. When it comes to the Calamity or the 4-cost echoes, plan a rotating route of bosses with your strongest gear DPS as the main lead. If the run is a bit far, feel free to drop a waypoint that you can obtain as a reward for exploration completion with Maki at the Pioneer Association. As this main DPS upgrades their gear over time, your clears will get faster and faster. I've left the 3-cost, or the Overlord level echoes, for last, because they are arguably the hardest to obtain in the game. This means that you might be holding on to purple 3-cost echoes for a significant portion of the game. 3-cost echoes have only 2 possible elements on their drop table, while also having a very wide range of main stats. This makes efficient 3-cost farming a little bit frustrating and RNG heavy. Take, for example, the Hu Chief. This arrow monster can also drop a healing bonus echo. There are only a limited number of these mobs in the overworld, and they are significantly more tanky and more dangerous than the 1-cost mobs. Gold healing set drops from this monster can be disastrous for an uninformed player. They might see the shiny and be tempted to gear their Varina or Baija earlier than they should, utilizing those very scarce gold tuners on an echo that will do almost nothing to increase their team's DPS. That is the main goal for players looking to clear the Tower of Adversity, and the first big obstacle in actually doing that. A player should just hold onto these gold pieces, bury them in their account, and prioritize them last, behind the sub DPS and the main DPS role on the team. Having a 5-piece set bonus is enough to fulfill the support role. This means that your Varina might be running a purple set for a long time, but this is the most efficient way to increase your team's DPS. There are several 3-cost echoes in particular that are very efficient to farm, depending on who your main DPS characters are. The Flautist, for example, if you're building Calcharo and are comfortable running a 2-piece attack and then a 2-piece elemental Sonata set, rather than a 5-piece set, there's potential to gear up to 3 characters at once. If you're running Encore as well, then the Violet Feathered Heron is another good option. Similarly, players running Ling Yang or the Havoc Rover could see a lot of value out of prioritizing the Tambourinist or the Roshroom. Players looking to maximize their efficiency should commit early to certain characters and plan a path to progression. With 3-cost echoes the hardest to acquire, you should prioritize your 1 main DPS out of the 3 that you use in the overworld as the first character to get a full set of gold gear. To maximize your efficiency in leveling these echoes, it's recommended to take them up to just plus 20 rather than plus 25 to save a massive amount of XP and tuner materials. The one exception that I might have here is the Calamity level echo, where that additional crit rate stat can be very, very beneficial. You'll also want to drop badly rolled pieces as soon as possible. Taking them up to plus 10 and getting 2 dud rolls should spell the end for that piece. Don't let RNG screw you, as you'll only receive 30% of your tuners back and 80% of your Echo XP back for recycling a bad piece by using it as fodder for another. Remember that if you're leveraging co-op, you can technically infinitely grind an infinite number of potential rollable echoes. In terms of which echoes to level first, I recommend prioritizing your 1-cost echoes. These have a very small range of possible main stats, making the intended goal of attack for a DPS character relatively easy to grind. It's also very easy, because of that fact, to maintain a steady supply of rollable 1-cost echoes. These echoes should typically have your best substats for this reason. The 4-cost echoes should be the second priority, with a specific focus on farming critical rate or critical damage, depending on where your stat allocation is. Most players are really at this point going to be preferring critical rate as the main stat. With boss farming as the only true infinite grind in the game without co-op, there is potential to get a lot of pieces here. The problem is that these bosses just take longer to kill. They also have a respawn time, and they can be sometimes a little challenging for players early on in the game. In the time it takes you to kill one boss, it's likely you'd have been able to kill 3 to 6 1-cost mobs. That's why you prioritize that 1 DPS out of your 3 main DPS to gear first and streamline this process for the rest of your account, as a well-built character will just crush the overworld. This means that you might be using Gian against the Arrow Gorilla, even though he's resistant to Arrow. But if Gian is built well enough, it is not a problem. 3-cost Echoes are the last in priority because of how freaking hard they are to get, and the wide array of potential main stats for these weapons. With all the potential elemental bonuses and unique stats like energy regeneration, there's a lot of potential to just get unusable pieces, unless you straight up do not care about your Sonata effects. If you're getting frustrated with your drop rates on these Overlord level Echoes, you can utilize your weekly reset on your databank to target these mobs specifically and leverage an enhanced drop rate. At level 15, this enhanced drop rate is only 50%. It spikes up to 80 at level 16. The thing is, your account should almost never be at databank level 15. This is because once you hit databank level 15, you can merge all of your blue and green rarity echoes into purple and gold echoes as drops. Any gold echo you obtain during this merging, and potentially some of the purple ones, will immediately add to your databank experience, as all of these could be new echoes, aside from your pre-release echo and some red mist enemy drops. Depending on how many echoes you have in the bank and how nice your RNG is, you might immediately jump to level 16 or even level 17 after this merging is all over. With this drop rate increase, you can guarantee up to 15 Overlord echoes each week. Not a huge amount over 7 days, but it's a nice boost. I don't recommend using this drop rate increase on the Calamity level mobs or the bosses, due to their relative ease of access and their infinite respawns. By utilizing these guidelines, you can reach the endgame as fast as possible while limiting waste on resources. You have all of those purple tuners for a reason. Use them on your sub DPS and support characters. As a summary, here are the main points and tips. First, use purple echoes on healers and sub DPS characters from Union level 20 all the way into the late game. Second is prioritize 3 main DPS characters to get the first sets of gold echoes. Third is prioritize 1 main DPS of those 3 to gear first. Fourth is prioritize gold gear in an order of 1, 4, then 3 cost echoes when leveling up. Fifth is to upgrade the sub DPS to gold gear after all of those main DPS, and then go for the support/healer. Sixth is just a reminder, you need to have 3 teams to clear the Tower of Adversity. Hopefully, this guide was helpful. I am personally struggling myself with gold tuner management as I continue gearing my endgame teams. I'll be looking to have content focused around the Hazard Zone as soon as possible. And with this advice, hopefully your accounts will soon be at the stage to tackle this kind of content too. Good luck on your rolls, don't plus 15 bad pieces, and avoid tacit fields until Union level 40. Peace out, Rovers.